Welcome to the second bonus episode of the Timepiece Sessions. So, in this episode, we're going to be answering the question, why do I procrastinate? This is probably a question that I get most often, and it's a question I had for a really long time. So, let's just jump in. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in the middle of a project, then suddenly have an urge to check your email or go down an email rabbit hole? Have you ever told yourself that you would definitely get a motion filed by the end of the day, then did every possible task, including that discovery that isn't due for weeks, but that motion? Have you ever known that you had a project due at the end of the week and that you should do just a little bit at a time each day, but then you wait until Friday and feel dread and fear, then white knuckle the entire project Friday, barely getting the work done under the wire? If you have, you are in good company. If you're procrastinating, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're a bad lawyer. And it's definitely not because, quote, that's just who you are, which I hear so often. Procrastination is a habit, and habits are meant to be broken. And you've done it before, you are able to do it again. But procrastination is a problem, right? Not only does it feel horrible when we're waiting until the last minute to do projects, but it really breaks trust with ourselves. What I mean by that is when we beat ourselves up for not doing those projects sooner, we create a poor relationship with ourselves. Imagine being yelled at for not doing work sooner by a client. That wouldn't make you want to do work for them, right? You'd probably say, sayonara, I'm out. But if we are hard on ourselves, it creates a similar relationship. We're unable to break the procrastination habit because we are resisting engaging with that voice in our head. Of course, you don't want to work for a mean boss. You will go do something that feels, in quotes, productive. And that is a place where your brain isn't yelling at you, right? Have you ever had a project due, then decided, oh, you know what? I'm going to go do this other project that needs to get done, even though it's not due until next week. Then I'm being productive. That's procrastination, but it doesn't feel so bad, right? It's a little bit easier because your brain isn't yelling at you so loudly. It's like giving yourself a pass because you're doing something, even though it's not as important. It wasn't what you had planned. And it just is a way to buffer those emotions of being yelled at, right? To numb out those emotions of being yelled at for the other job. So then you end up in the same cycle of staying up late nights and weekends, finishing projects, maybe missing out on things like outings with your family, other life events, doing things that you really enjoy. I know a lot of people have crafts and they totally stop doing those things because they simply don't have time for them. And your quality of work, well, it's likely not as good as if you'd planned it out. Am I right? In the short term, maybe it's not a problem, but as your workload increases, it becomes more of a problem and clients begin to notice, and that's bad for business. So let's talk about why the brain creates this procrastination habit. And remember, habits are meant to be broken. There's two parts to our brains. There's two voices in our heads. One part, one voice is the primal brain. The primal brain only wants three things: to experience pleasure, to avoid pain, and to conserve energy. The second part is the higher mind or the prefrontal cortex. That part is the voice that tells you all the things that make sense, like plan your week, or work on that important project first, or checking email isn't really all that important right now. For most people, voice number one, the primal brain, is substantially louder. The people who are the most successful at managing their time have learned to notice voice number one, but not let it lead them. And right now, if you're procrastinating, voice number one is leading you. So we want to unlearn this habit. We want to learn how to make voice number two louder. And that requires creating awareness around what triggers procrastination for you, how you're talking to yourself or other surrounding environmental factors, and applying mind management and emotional management to strengthen that voice. This is the work I will be doing inside of Timepiece for Lawyers, which is now open for enrollment. I'm limiting our class to 15 lawyers so you can get lots of attention from me in our sessions. And officially, enrollment closes on August 31st, but I am going to close enrollment as soon as we reach that 15 number. So you'll want to save your spot right now. You can do that at dinacataldo.com/timepiece. That's PEACE. Inside this program, we are going to meet for 12 weeks, and this is the absolute perfect time to enroll because these classes are going to end before the holiday season begins. I have designed Timepiece for Lawyers to fit inside of your life, fit within your life. We are going to have one call weekly for 12 weeks. Plus, you're going to have 3 bonus calls if you'd like extra help or you miss one of our regularly scheduled calls. I get it. Life happens. There are bonuses galore inside the portal when you go to the enrollment page, and you're going to see things like access to the focus hour. The focus hour is so much fun. It's incredibly effective for my clients who are coming to the focus hour and they're working on projects that maybe they've put off or they haven't really thought about setting time aside to do things like working on their business. It's a monthly co-working space I open up just for my clients. You can get all of the information, including information on all of the amazing bonuses in there at dinacataldo.com/timepiece. That's PEACE. Now, procrastination, it's not a defect. It was something I struggled with until I got the tools I needed to reconnect to my higher self, to really start listening to that second voice more and more and more. And I learned how to follow it more than the primal brain. You can do it too. Habits were meant to be broken.